There are now thousands of illegal immigrants crossing over into the United States as Title 42, a Trump administration policy that allowed the U.S. to turn away migrants, expires, and it is only expected to get worse. To break this all down with me, I am joined by investigative border and immigration reporter for the Daily Caller, Jennie Taer. Jennie, thanks so much for joining me tonight. You have exclusively obtained internal Border Patrol documents that seem to suggest officials know the situation is only going to get worse as more and more illegal immigrants flood across the border. What can you tell us about what that document said?
That's right. The document, which was internal in Border Patrol, instructed agents to start the mass release under what's known as parole authority. So what this means is that they are instructed if they're over capacity, if they're seeing large surges of migrants, that they should start releasing people who they vet and deem not to be risks to national security, that they should release them without court dates into the country and instruct them to report to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which handles interior immigration in the United States, to report to them to then receive a court date after they're released into the country.
And Jennie, do any of these migrants ever report for these court dates?
That's a great question. Some of them do, but there's often many that do not. And I hear that often from ICE officers who handle a lot of these cases, that right now, especially under the Biden administration, the priorities are very different for who they're able to arrest and deport. And the migrants often know that. The people that are deported, that are that are arrested, are egregious criminals that often have a very lengthy record. So a lot of things go under the radar, including DUIs, which is drunk driving, driving under the influence, some crimes involving pedophilia and crimes against children. Unfortunately, some of those instances, like, they do go by the wayside. And again, this just shows the broader issue here with interior immigration enforcement in the United States. But now that's only going to get worse with this new order and this oncoming surge that the Biden administration knows is happening and has been knowing that for 2 years. They've had time to prepare for this and actually have received a lot of backlash from their own party for this.
And what sort of numbers are we talking about? I mean, how many had been crossing over before Title 42, and how many now are they expecting to be coming across either on a daily or a weekly or a monthly basis?
So before Title 42, we were seeing record surges. In fiscal year 2022, there were 2.3 million migrants, more than that, encountered by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, as well as more than 1.2 million already encountered this fiscal year. That's expected to surge. It's expected to get a lot worse. And even President Joe Biden said that recently, which is interesting because for so long, he did not say there was a crisis at the border, but now he's saying that for a long time, there's been chaos. Only at this point in time, when the American people are seeing it on video, online, and the mainstream media in the United States is covering it, actually, which they haven't been doing for a while. I've been down to the border several times, and I'm often a lone reporter, or I see a few outlets that are local or that tend to lean conservative, where their audience is very interested in this issue. Now the nation has taken attention to this and has put a microscope on the Biden administration over it.
And Jennie, is that because so many of them are being sent to New York, Chicago? I know Chicago has just declared a state of emergency over arrivals in the city. And is this going to mean that Democrats in these very Democrat-run cities are going to start to be thinking twice about Joe Biden as one of these policies of his starts to have real consequences in their own daily lives?
It certainly has been a game of, hot potato almost, because first you had the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, a Republican, sending migrants to places like New York City, where there's a Democratic mayor. The Democratic mayor of New York City then began busing them to the northern border, to cities along the northern border in New York. And now he's busing them to other suburbs of New York City and areas up north of that. And so now he's getting this, backlash from Republicans over this, when he was the one that originally complained about Abbott doing this and politicizing the tragedy at the southern border. So this has been this political football that's been tossed around, and it has affected communities. They're spending millions of dollars a day in New York City to be able to support them. They're having to contract hotels for them. And now they don't have the capacity for them, so they're putting them elsewhere. And that's what's going to start happening. It's going to start to bleed across the country.
Jennie Taer, a shocking situation. Jennie Taer from the Daily Caller, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. See you again soon.